Yeah.
Like, that's how you can help. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being in my movie.
Okay.
So-
Yeah.
So I think I love your shirt, by the way. What's on there?
So this is, it's a rescue organization. It's called Operation Underground Railroad.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe the fellow that did Sound of Freedom,
Yeah.
what's his name?
I don't know.
But they live in Utah, I believe they're in the church, but,
Angel Studios or someone affiliated with them? Or no?
It's the guy that the story is based on. He's the guy that
Oh.
started this underground road.
yeah, I forget his name, but he was at a
Yeah, he's not.
Time Out for Women. He came and spoke at a Time Out for Women about it. Made me cry. And
I
so,
can't even watch that movie.
so this talks about, oh, what does it say? We go to the darkest corners of the earth to save kids and
Huh.
a whole bunch of stuff.
So did you buy this at this women's conference? 'Cause
No.
you thought That was amazing.
No, they had shirts online.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Look
they,
at you.
yeah,
And does
so-
the profit go to the organization?
most of it, I
Sure.
would guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're nonprofit. Yeah,
Right.
mm-hmm,
Cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna dig in with you because we just want to keep a couple sound bites because I've talked with you enough to know
Yeah.
a little bit of your story. But
Mhm.
what I would love to, I mean, just so we capture it, I thought it's so again the podcast is Lulo Threads. Look upward, look outward.
Oh.
9,000 threads of light. I want to
Mm-hmm.
tell those stories.
Yeah,
So as I go through cancer, that's kind of been my decision. This has given me the purpose. I don't know if you know I'm about to go on long-term disability because I can't move my hand, and I go into
Oh.
seizures every time I turn the computer on nowadays. So
okay.
so I kind of had to make that decision in the last month. Like I'm
Oh.
gonna have to do this. I just feel until we can get the seizures under control. So
Yeah.
Anyway, I think what I would love to know, you have quite the story. Just as you were trying to look for God.
Oh,
Can you talk to that a little bit? Would you be willing to? Just because
how
I know
specifically?
you, as much as you want to, but I know just you really had to make some. You were looking. I know that.
Yeah,
And,
my whole life.
I know. So talk to that a little bit.
Yeah.
What were you looking for?
You know, I don't know. I mean, I was brought up a Lutheran.
Yeah.
My,
North Dakota.
in North Dakota.
Uh-huh.
My mom would drop us off for Sunday school every Sunday, but they were not church-going people. Like,
They drop you
and my brothers to Sunday school,
Yeah.
and then she would listen on the radio
Oh.
to the sermon because they just weren't going in, you know, unless it was a Christmas pageant or whatever. But my grandparents were very. My grandmother was part of the Lutheran Women's League, and you know, bake pies for
They
people,
were
and
way into it from a social stance then,
yes.
but maybe not the religious part of it.
No, you know, I feel like I really, like, I remember praying with my grandparents. They would read morning devotionals. So we would, when I stayed with them, which I did a lot, so we would pray at night then, but we would say the Lord's Prayer every night.
I've got
So the repetition.
I recite that in second grade with Mrs. Matt.
Yep.
Can I remember it? Oh, something about hallowed be thy name.
Oh, yes. I can't even
see if I
remember.
can still do it.
I can't remember on
It's
this.
been a while.
Yeah. But anyway, I remember my grandpa laying in bed, my grandma on the toilet, and me kneeling at the bathtub in their bathroom. And we'd say the Lord's Prayer. And then they would pray for every child they had and grandchild. So there was like 27 names that came out at the
Every
end.
day.
Every night, yep. And then I would go upstairs to sleep, and they'd go to sleep. And then in the morning, they live near town, and so I stayed with them because I always had activities, so it was easier for me to stay.
Sure.
Yeah, but I think they taught me. I remember when I was deciding to go to college, I sat in a lot of trees and prayed to God about where to go.
Where did you go?
I left North Dakota and went to California
That's a big
to,
move.
yes,
I don't know if I knew that about about
yeah,
it.
I just, not that I hated North Dakota, but I was like, I got to get out there. So I did.
Sounds like someone I know here.
Yeah.
She's not willing to go to BYU though. Where I'm like, BYU, get out of Arizona, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Northern Arizona. Yeah.
Flagstaff.
Okay. So, and then I didn't really go to church in college. Not that I remember. Actually, the athletic director, when I was a Porterville, it was a junior college, and he actually recruited me. He liked to recruit
What sport
Midwestern.
were you in?
Oh, track and
I
field.
don't think I knew this either.
Track and field. And I wanted to be a heptathlete.
So,
And he enticed me, Dr. Nelson, and he enticed me to come because he said, oh, we have the decathlon Pac-10 champion who's going to come and coach here. And if you want to learn the heptathlon, you need to come. So I came. Well, at Easter, he invited me to his house, and I learned he was a Mormon. And
So
he
that's
never
your
talked
first
about
one,
it.
okay.
Yeah, he never really talked about it. And I mean, I thought, okay, he's cool. They're doing whatever, you know. They didn't. They just said, oh, we're going to church, but they never invited me.
Did that
So-
make you sad?
No, not till later.
Because you really weren't ready for it,
No, but
right?
yeah, not till later did I think, why didn't he invite me? What, you know?
Sure.
So yeah, and then I guess I remember when I was in Antarctica, I met a fellow who was a missionary.
In Antarctica.
Yes.
You've done it all. Sorry, I have this tickle cough. Sorry, it's probably been making a mess here.
It's from the honeycomb.
Yeah, it's the allergies to the honeycomb.
Yes.
I guess. I'm like, woo. So you were in Antarctica.
So-
you met another.
So I met a fellow. Well, of course there was an attraction to him,
Sure,
but
sure.
but then I learned he was like, he wasn't a missionary, but he was a God. He and I kind of spiritually connected.
Okay.
And anyway, we came back and we kept in touch. And then years later, he, reached out and said, "Oh, I don't even know what religion it is, but they give up everything and they go in twos and they travel around and they kind of live with people, but so kind of like our missionaries, but not really, because he was in his mid-20s. It wasn't like, but they met in people's homes, because I remember going with him. It was maybe like the Jaredites, or I don't know. Anyway,
I don't
when
know.
I came to Green Valley, there was a family in Green Valley that had meetings in their house, so I did that for a while. And then he said, I feel like I'm too much of a rock star, and everybody knows me and loves me, and I feel like a rock star. And so he left. He said, I'm not doing this anymore.
This is the same guy from
Yeah.
Antarctica, so he changed a little bit?
Yeah. And then now he's married, and they couldn't be married when they were doing this. So anyway, it was interesting. I don't know really what it was, what they called themselves, but it was from the Bible, and
Sure.
so it was all. But again, it didn't stick with me. It wasn't.
So what kind of changed you? Were you like, I really do want this relationship with God kind of thing?
It wasn't that I ever stopped praying or thinking about him as a friend. I mean, I even carried little, like, I can do all things with God. I had little cards all over, like when I was a kid, in my room.
I
and
love your memes that you send me.
and
Yeah, thank you.
that's from the Come Follow Me app.
I see, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I carried, gosh, I can't think of my verses now, but I can, something about God is helping me when I'm driving around. Like I would have a card on the in my car. So he was always there, but I just, because I moved a lot. I mean, I went to other Lutheran churches, you know, when I was in different places. And then I was over here at the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church.
Is that the Grace Lutheran?
Nope.
Place? Is that different?
It's the one where the Sarita Food Bank is.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was over there, and I was actually the youth, one of the, like the youth group leader.
Huh.
And so we did mission trips to Mexico with the kids in New Mexico, and I loved it. And I got to be really good friends with the pastor and his wife, Randy Mayer, and I still am.
You still are?
Yeah.
I knew that.
And then I was dating a fellow who was very spiritually hollow at the time,
When
and
you say, what do you mean by spiritually hollow? When you
Like
say
nothing.
Like, what does that mean?
like he would eat banana cream pudding, like to fill himself up, and then he'd be like, "Oh, I feel terrible about myself. Why did I do that?" And he
I'd be like, yeah, I'm 5 pounds better. Awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was just very materialistic. If he wasn't so cute, I tell everybody I wouldn't have dated him for so long. But he was cute and he was
So
fun.
you're saying that's what you mean by hollow. He just wasn't thinking about more than himself,
Yeah,
really.
beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was with him, he would even say, "Oh, I just feel filled up when I'm with you," kind of like I was giving him
Is that a
something.
pickup line?
I don't know.
What is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, he said it sincerely, like,
Sure.
but yeah. So eventually, I dumped him, and then I was praying, and I was like, "Oh, you know, God, what's next for me?" And then I met Catherine's dad
Right.
pretty quickly.
Did you?
Yeah. And I remember, well, he came to church with me over here, and he said, "Jennifer, you do realize they don't believe in Jesus as the Savior." And I'm like, "What?" But they're like preaching out of the Bible, and they're like reading scriptures, and they have an Easter service at the lake where they're like, you know, in the lake fishing for men. And he's
Was
like,
he talking about the Lutheran church? Or
"No, the Good Shepherd
The Good Shepherd.
United Church of Christ."
Okay.
And they are, he said they're not. I was like, whoa. And eventually I sent something to my friend Norma on Easter, you know, with, about Jesus or something. And she said, "Jennifer, you know, we don't believe that. Why are you sending me this?" And I was just taken aback, like, what do you mean? Like maybe I was so naive that I go somewhere and believe what I want.
Sure.
And I get out of it what I needed. And that's, I think, how I felt with religion. I already had my own idea of how it should be, and
So
I
what
would
was
go. That Jesus was always my friend, and yeah. And I mean, in the Lutheran Church, you know, there's a Trinity,
Yep.
and that never made sense to me, like the 3 in 1. Yeah, because I was always like, hold it, you know, Jesus is here and he's my friend, and then God's like my father, and how can they all be, you know? So there was confusion, and then
It wasn't making sense to you.
with children, you know, why was I baptized when I was a baby? What?
You had a lot of questions.
Yeah,
And it just wasn't lining up in your mind.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
how did you finally?
Oh, so then I went to his church over in Vail, the LDS, and I sat there and cried.
I know you told me about this just because you felt like you had, like, what were you feeling? Just after it.
It was a fast and testimony meeting. And
You finally felt at home? Like, this is it? And like immediately, right?
yeah,
You felt like had you been praying for that all those years?
probably.
But just this, Jesus is my friend, and you felt like you found it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, I know, I mean, you have a big story. I'm not going to capture it all today.
Yeah.
But what
Well-
changed for you that day?
Well, I was so impressed that the members could just stand there and express themselves so well. Like it wasn't a repetitious prayer.
It wasn't the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
Where it was the same.
It
all the
wasn't,
time.
yeah. Just how they could really like share how they felt about the Lord and what they believed. And I'd never heard it. Like it was always a prepared sermon, you know, everywhere I'd been.
So it felt natural to you. And like, huh.
Well, not like something I could do because I mean, I would be
Oh,
definitely,
I know how much
I'm like,
you love talking to people.
I'm like, oh my gosh, they're standing up there telling this story. I could never do that because it's like only in quiet or private, you know, it's
Right.
inside me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what changed for you that day?
And then I sat in Relief Society and did the same thing. Just cried.
Huh.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, even though things didn't work out between
Right.
her dad and I still knew I was
That
was brought to him for that
Right.
that reason. Yeah.
So, just in terms of your relationship with our Father in heaven, what has this brought to you?
Well, coming
Did
into
it
your
change things for you a little bit?
yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not perfect about
Well,
praying or
neither am I.
yeah.
So let's all be honest.
Yeah, but I know that I can always come back to it, and I feel like there's so much truth that I have and I've learned, and yeah, the truths that were confusing before, the baptism, the Trinity, just reading the history. Actually, when I first read the Book of Mormon, I love history, and I was so like reading the title page, like the early ancestors of the Americas were the Nephites and the Lamanites, and to just hear that and hear all that fighting and carrying on they were doing, and it was
They did fight a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so if I run into any people that, are like history, I'm like, well, have you read the Book of Mormon? This is like the greatest history ever. I mean, why not read?
Yeah, I met a couple of people with archaeology. I thought, yeah, everyone kind of has to come to it on their own, though, don't they?
Yeah.
You had to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is, no, I don't get it, Jennifer. Like, why would I even
Yeah.
care, right?
Yeah.
But you read it, you went on your own journey.
Mm-hmm.
Has that influenced the way that you look at others?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, like I said, I've always known Jesus, and I've always loved people, but I feel like now I can look at them even more like Christ would.
Well, all I know is you sure did a whole lot for me. She gave me a lot of rides, you guys. You checked in on me every day.
It was nothing.
It's like before my surgery where I just was like, I literally couldn't drive. And just, it wasn't a good idea, so.
Well,
Sure.
you light up everybody's life, Candace, so
With my crooked.
it's hard not to want to be around Candace.
Yeah, no, well, likewise, I thought you are a shining light for sure. Is there anything else you feel like you want to share?
Well, in
Think about
your
Kate.
podcast,
Kate will see this, right? So.
in your podcast, looking up, right, for the guidance and the light from above,
Yep.
and then looking out to look for people to spread it, right? Like Jesus would.
And
Look,
sometimes you need that light to come to you.
yeah,
Have you seen that too?
of course.
Where you've had those people who've become that connection for you?
Yes.
Yep.
And I've had to tell Catherine, look for the angels
Yeah.
every
That is a
day.
great word for what they are, isn't it?
Yeah.
They are your angels.
She wants to go to school and, or she doesn't want to go to school. I don't want to go. I'm nervous. They might be mean. Look for the angels, because there's people that are there to help you
Yeah.
always.
Yeah, they sure are. And sure think the world of you. And you're so kind to show up not realizing we're going to film you. So,
I'd be in the honeycomb
You
light.
yeah, yeah. Anything else that you'd want Kate to know about your journey? Just knowing this is being recorded.
Well,
Because I think that's a big blessing that came into your life as a daughter, right? Because of you met that guy. Even though I know that guy's not been great, but yet you've stayed faithful. With that guy out of the picture. And
You
I
know-
Kate has had to go through her journey on some
Yeah.
of that, right?
yeah. No, I've told her, I've told her that I loved her dad, and I've never regretted praying about him, and because that brought her into my life.
Yeah. Kate's pretty cool, by the way, guys.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's no regrets. I mean, I loved him, and
Sure.
she came about
Yeah,
because of that.
yeah. She's definitely one of your threads, isn't she? That brings, I'm sure, a whole lot of light into your life. So,
Even as a teenager.
yeah, even if she's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
No,
I'm sure.
she's good.
I don't know if I've ever seen her be cranky. Does
Well,
she get cranky?
When we got to North Dakota, the day she started school, she's like, Mom, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden everything you do annoys me. Your voice, just don't talk. And it turned like that. And I said, remember, we talked about this last year, that this might happen, and it is. And she said, I really don't like feeling this way, but just don't talk to me sometimes.
So you might drive in silence to school. is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yeah, or home afterwards, because it was a long day.
Well,
Yeah,
you're not alone in that. I've listened to a few moms express the same.
yeah.
So,
But she's a light. I know she's already influenced her grandparents, and
I bet they love having her.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other kids, I know, the teachers just love her.
Sure.
They know she's different.
Did she win the track and field? Did she do cross country?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that what she did?
She did well.
Yeah.
I mean, she got Rookie of the Year and the Most Improved, and
Right.
is shooting some 3-pointers, making some 3-pointers in the basketball games, and